Okay, so this might be the last video that I make on this subject. I've made a good couple of them last week, exposing Israel Adesanya, exposing the MMA media and the general media for not calling him out for his despicable behavior and trying to invert it onto Dricus du Plessis for the last 13 months. It's absolutely vile and disgusting. I think I've done a good job over the last couple of weeks covering it, showing the hypocrisy. And in the last 24 hours, we've had so much copium from the MMA media shills. We've had so much copium from Israel Adesanya himself. And we've had a complete and utter breakdown by Kamaru Usman, proving exactly what this whole 13-month fiasco was about. And to compound that, I have actual proof that I'm going to show you in an article here where Kamaru Usman was called out personally for being a fake African and he said nothing about it. You know why? Because the person that called him out for being a fake African was black. And to see the meltdown that he had yesterday on his podcast when Henry Cejudo was having a little bit of a joke and a laugh with him about the true African champion in the aftermath of Dricus du Plessis beating Israel Adesanya at 305, it was incredible. It was incredible, and I think it compounds and proves exactly what I've been saying. And if this is my last video for a while touching on this subject, I think that it would be fair to see one of these other YouTubers, one of these other ex-fighters, someone in the MMA media covering the story of Kamaru Usman having a complete woke progressive victim meltdown yesterday, talking about you don't know what it's like to be stopped by the police in America. You chose to live in America where you have become a millionaire as opposed to Africa that you're getting so butthurt about. That alone is hypocrisy to the highest. But to see him seething and writhing with pain because Henry Cejudo was disagreeing with his point of view, this echo chamber point of view, was crazy. So we're going to get into that. We're going to have a look at Joe Rogan having a little meltdown. We're going to have a look at the shills seething and coping over the last 24 hours. And I will show you the article where Kamaru Usman personally gets slaughtered by another African fighter. Before I get into that, if you could jump over and hit subscribe if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it. We're coming up on 40,000 subscribers. I can't believe that's actually happening, but we're almost there, and a little bit of a push, and I think we can do it in the next week or two. Cheers. So we'll jump over here. We'll have a little look at Brendan Schaub, Joe Rogan, and a couple of other nobody wokesters that absolutely lost their shit because Dricus du Plessis beat Israel Adesanya. I covered Brendan Schaub talking last week when he said not only was Dricus going to lose this fight, but Israel was going to destroy him. Absolutely dog walk him. Mollywop him, I think was the word that might have been used. And then he was going to go on and mollywop Sean Strickland, then take a break, then jump up, mollywop Alex Pereira, and then go to Hollywood. That's exactly what he said. Mark my words. Timestamp this video. These were all the words from Brendan Schaub. And as we can see in this next clip, he's sitting there with his jaw on the floor going, oh my God, what just happened?
Oh my God. That's incredible. Oh my God. Oh my God.
What the fuck is going on?
What just happened? He heard him, dude. He
He's
heard
wearing the
him.
whole. Oh shit, he might have this.
Oh no.
He has it. He
Oh,
has
no.
it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
way.
Oh my God. Dricus is a fucking animal,
That's
dude.
a tough motherfucker.
He's a fucking animal.
That's a
Holy
tough
shit.
fucking guy.
I was saying that those punches, even though he's exhausted, you can't be in those exchanges. You're going to get clipped. If you get clipped, you're in real trouble. Fuck, he got hit with those big right hands, man. He got rocked with those right hands.
God, this makes me feel like America lost a war or something.
Wow.
Like, I just fucking hate how this feels. Fuck.
Yeah.
So it feels like America just lost a war or something. Some black randomer is just going on about how he hates how this feels and he hates Dricus's face. Brendan Schaub is on the bottom there and he's like, oh my God, man, he's so tough. It's unbelievable. Like 3 days before it, you were slamming him, saying that he was going to get dog walked. And Joe Rogan spent the entire podcast glazing Israel Adesanya. We've seen so many of these ex-fighters or commentators or MMA media people doing the exact same thing over the course of the last week. So it's not really surprising that it was going on over here. The reaction was a little bit surprising in terms of this feels like we've lost a war or something. What exactly happened there? And in the aftermath of Dricus retaining the belt and choking Israel Adesanya out, we've seen, and in the aftermath of Israel Adesanya being choked out by Dricus du Plessis and him retaining the belt, we've seen from the media, some people are just incapable of saying that Dricus was the better man on the night. You will hear a lot of well, Israel was winning it and he was looking the best that he ever did, and I think that he can go on and do this. But not too many people are saying, well, the skill set of Dricus du Plessis outclassed him, not only on the feet, but on the ground. And not only on the ground and on the feet and in the octagon, but in the mental battle on the run-up, because he played these cards exactly right and didn't stoop and lower himself to the level of people like Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman. Absolutely vile behavior from both of them. There's a 30-minute reaction video over on the Israel Adesanya YouTube channel, and he talks about the entire fight. And I really do appreciate the respect that was seemingly reciprocal at the end of this fight. Israel was forced into giving some respect to Dricus. He said that he is the African champion now, and I do respect him and we'll be friends. And this is exactly what I would like to have seen from the word go. To have squashed this crap before it even got started, but we know that these lads are incapable of doing that. So this 30-minute video kind of consists of him humming and moaning, and then thinking about his answer, and then thinking about how to answer the question without giving too much respect to the white lad. And when the questions roll in, as in like, is there anything that surprised you from Dricus du Plessis? No. Did you think Dricus du Plessis was tougher than you thought he was before you got in the octagon? No. Right from the jump, watching this reaction video and knowing exactly what Israel Adesanya is about, you knew that he wasn't going to be honest, and you knew that he wasn't going to come out and go, yeah man, he was surprisingly strong, it was a bit mad, and like these blitzes coming forward actually kind of shocked me, because they're not as erratic and as awkward as people are saying. There's actually a little method to that madness. He wasn't like that at all. In fact, to summarize the entire reaction video, Dricus wasn't powerful, he wasn't fast, he wasn't as good as what people said, his ground game wasn't good. Everything that he did that actually worked on the night that everyone else could see was either mistakes or little tweaks that Israel had to do, so no credit was given to him. In fact, I don't see too much credit being handed over to Dricus du Plessis, and if I do, it's coming through gritted teeth. The one person, surprisingly, who had a really good breakdown, the best breakdown that I've seen, was Luke Thomas. An absolutely phenomenal breakdown. Fair play to Luke Thomas. He really hit the nail on the head and went where all the other shills weren't going to go. So props to him for that, 100%. So that brings us to Kamaru Usman, who proved my point and proved the point that most people can see but are terrified to talk about, that this was all about Dricus being white. This is all about playing the victim card. This is all about an anti-white rhetoric. This is all about an African who fled his country, landed in America, and became a multi-millionaire and still feels like he's the victim. Okay? So let's have a little look at that.
For me, it was a little untasteful. It was a little untasteful. Well, not a little, very untasteful, because this is how the division continues to how the division is continuously perpetuated. Is how can you, was Israel born in Africa? Yes. Was he raised in Africa? Yes. Until his family moving him out to look for an opportunity. Now, we can try to not say race all we want to and not say race all we want to, but if there's anything that we know, especially being in America right now, Henry, you and I, if there's one thing that we do know, is that the color of your skin does play a part. Yes or no? It does.
But when we talk about America, though, Kamaru, America's the world, bro. You have Chinese Americans, Mexican Americans.
But Henry, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
I'm gonna have to.
But is there a difference?
Have to disagree with you.
Okay.
Henry Cejudo, man. I'm not a huge fan of him. He's fine, but like he pushes back on Kamaru's absolute ludicrous statement here. And look at Kamaru Usman's reaction. It's totally evident, and as I said, we have proof. This one was enough yesterday for people to go, whoa, so it really was about Dricus being white and you being black. It wasn't about we are the three kings who came before him and paved the way. It wasn't anything about that, which I said. It was about him being white. And Henry called him out in it.
So you're disagreeing that the way that the color of your skin does not play an impact in the quality of life?
Not in America, man. I don't think so. I think that's all subjective. I think that's. I mean, look at a guy like LeBron James.
Hold on one second. Like, okay, so
Kamaru Usman is literally losing his shit. He's like, hold on one second. You're a millionaire. You're a professional fighter who is a millionaire. You and your kids don't ever have to work again if you play your cards right. You're a millionaire. and you want Henry Cejudo to turn around and say, because of the color of your skin, Kamaru, you've been at a disadvantage your entire life. Get fucked. Get the fuck out of here.
So you're telling me if you get pulled over, or one of our producers gets pulled. No, you have to answer that because we already opened the can of worms. You're trying to say that if we got pulled over, you got pulled over, or I got pulled over, we will be treated the exact same way.
I can't answer that because I'm not black.
I'll answer it for you. I'll answer it for you. Absolutely not. We will not be for you. We will not be. And so tying that back into this is wanting to clear. I understand it was a whole marketing thing for Dricus du Plessis, which he might have not necessarily meant it the way that Israel might have taken it all the way, but you have to be careful because it's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous.
It's very, very dangerous to trigger a black person who's really insecure and have been taught and indoctrinated for like 100 years in the school system to be victims. And you see like successful black people that would push back on this. Candace Owens is one that jumps to mind. It's like, I'm not a victim. I'm a millionaire and I've created it myself, and the opportunity was given to me to create it myself in America. Shut the fuck up.
You have to be careful with what you say because now we're in a position to influence the masses.
Okay. I'm just going to stop it there because he rants on and it's actually intolerable to listen to. I want to jump over to this story, and here's the crux of this video. I want to jump over here. Rumored UFC signee eyes fake African Kamaru Usman. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Themba Gorimbo. Sees UFC gold in his future, and he is calling Kamaru Usman a fake African. And you're like, okay, this is huge. This is actually crazy. Who is he again? He's the dude that The Rock came over and bought a house for him because he was sleeping on Colby Covington's couch, apparently. You remember that story that got swept under the rug where this guy came out and said that person who's helped him the most is Colby Covington, and he's not what you think he is. Behind the scenes, he wants to help people.
Colby Covington, he's such a great guy, man. Colby Covington, sometimes he'll bring food for me at the gym, you know. And people say what they say about him, but that guy is a great man, man. You have to know him to kind of know him. Just like me, you have to know me to kind of know me, you know. At the end of the day, it's business.
So that's who Themba Gorimbo is. He's the guy who got a house off The Rock. I guess he's sorted now with a nice little mansion over in America to live. This guy has his nose out of joint with Dricus because he was actually fighting in the UFC when Dricus said that it was him and Cameron were the residing African fighters in the UFC. I don't know whether he was living in Africa at the time or whether he was on Colby's couch. Regardless, you could look at it as him being triggered again. What did he say about Kamaru Usman? Let's have a listen.
Proof of what I said. And lastly, Dana White, Kamaru Usman. He's not an African. He can't represent Africa in that division. That man left Africa when he was 6. I survived Africa. I know what Africa is about. Let me come run that welterweight division for you. Yeah!
A 13-month fiasco because a white man, Dricus du Plessis, said that he lived and resided in Africa and he was going to bring the belt back to Africa. This black lad is screaming for Dana White's attention and Kamaru Usman, saying that he's a fake African. And you can't be African because you left when you were 6 and I stayed here and I survived. You're not African. This should have been a huge story, but it wasn't. And this is why it is proof, because yesterday, after Dricus du Plessis choked Israel Adesanya unconscious, we saw Kamaru Usman having a nervous breakdown about race. About race. If you were so triggered by somebody saying that you didn't live in Africa and the belts never went back there, why didn't you go after Themba Gorimbo when he said this like a couple of years ago? He called you out personally. It could have been this massive thing, but it wasn't because he was black. And that is the crux of the story. That's why you were triggered for the last 13 months. That's why Israel was triggered for the last 13 months. That's why a lot of these progressive MMA guys are triggered. Because it was about race, you didn't want to say it. And finally the veil was lifted yesterday. Kamaru had a meltdown. Adesanya, after a 13-month overt meltdown, had an internal one yesterday. And at the end of the day, I think this proves my point from all the videos that I've made this week. I don't know whether I'll be going at this story anymore. I seem to be the only one calling it out. I know Guru's been out sick and he was calling this shit out. 2 people on YouTube covering this story, which is absolutely huge and disgusting and vile, but we're not allowed to talk about it. And these guys talk about how they're the victims and they're disadvantaged? How come there's no MMA media members talking about this? Is it because they know what would happen? If they talked about this, they know that they would get shut down and cancelled. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below, and maybe hit like, subscribe and share if any of it made sense. Cheers.